Right now, growing buzz over who the 2028 Democratic field, who will be in that field as possible contenders, are planning visits now to New Hampshire. It's already starting 2 years before the primary season, and Pete Buttigieg will be there tomorrow, followed by Gavin Newsom and Governor Beshear in the coming weeks. But a new op-ed warning their party, quote, "Every Democrat preparing a run has weaknesses." Kamala Harris leads with 31%, followed by Gavin Newsom at 22%. Both are vulnerable, a radicalized base animated by anti-Trump resistance, maybe an asset, but open borders, social disorder, and transgender ideology have hurt Democrats in presidential years. They will do so again if unchecked. Success in 2028 thus depends on finding an appealing candidate who embodies change not only from Mr. Trump or President Trump, but also from the Democrats' reputation. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders joins us now to react to all this. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
Good morning. Great to have you on. So I'm reading this morning and thinking, oh, my gosh, I didn't realize they're already starting. They're going to New Hampshire. You heard the list. But others who have also visited New Hampshire recently, Governor Pritzker, you have Cory Booker, Klobuchar, and Ruben Gallego. So it's already starting. They're not saying that they're running, but there are definitely indications that that's possible. What's your reaction?
I think the biggest question is, what is their message when they get there? They're not doing a great job in many cases running their own states. Those who were in the previous administration don't have a good story to tell. They tanked our economy. The president now is cleaning up a lot of the messes from the Biden-Harris administration. Chaos around the world, an economy that left so many people hurting, unable to afford basic necessities. And now we finally have a president who's putting us on the right track, leading from the top. What is their message when they're going into these places? The only thing that they have to say is, we don't like Donald Trump. Well, that's not a winning message. That's not going to help propel them. They need to fix a lot of the problems they have in their own states and their own party. And then maybe they can start traveling around the country with something else to say other than they don't like the president, because I don't think the American people are buying that, especially in contrast to this president who's actually getting things done and moving our country forward.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely bring up many excellent points. What is their message when they get there? And then what was your reaction to this? Kamala Harris leads with 31%, according to this Wall Street Journal article. Gavin Newsom at 22%. So that's, she's ahead by a lot. And she lost the last election.
I actually think that's great news. If Kamala Harris is the best person that the Democrats can run again, I think 28 is looking really good for Republicans. We're going to come off of an administration where our economy is strong. The president has ended 8 wars and continues to bring stability around the world. He is doing things that actually matter, that actually impact the people living in this country and around the globe. And that's the type of leadership they want. That's what he's delivering. And I think if Vice President Harris is the best they have to offer, I think 28 is looking very good for Republicans. And I think we can only hope that it's somebody, either her or Gavin Newsom, who also doesn't have much of a record to run on in California.
What I'm learning from just watching the last few years in these elections, how important it is to have a strong candidate. You can't keep running someone who's a failed politician who doesn't win. But it seems to be that this is all that they have.
It certainly feels that way. Not only was Harris not effective as vice president, she wasn't effective as the candidate at the top of the ticket. She not only didn't win her own race, but she hurt a lot of the down ballot races across the country as well. And so I think that could be a great setup for Republicans. I'm hopeful. I know the president is going on the road starting even today. He is this party's best messenger. He's got a great story to tell, and he's going to have a huge impact on what the midterms look like. If he goes out and continues campaigning, I think it will be the difference maker, because nobody sells better than Donald Trump, and nobody has a better story to tell than he does right now. And so I'm very hopeful he'll continue to be out on the road, help Republicans get elected up and down the ballot in the midterms, and then set up well for a Republican to win in 2028.
Yeah, and the president will be in Rome, Georgia today. Thank you so much, Governor. Great to see you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.